So I want to share a couple things with you before we get into the material. And that is next month, my theme is, and I'm planting this as a seed in you. It's got me thinking. What is a healing, prospering mindset for our times? But let that go now because we're going to get into something else. So that's August, and we won't have our usual 10:30, right? In September, I'm going to get into Pam Groth's book called E2. I'm finding it very. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, she's pretty entertaining, isn't she?
She is.
And a unity person. So that is September. October, mid-October, we'll start Adventure in Faith, which is a 7-week series. And the book I'm going to use for that is The Power of Receiving. So we'll have small group discussions. And let me see, is there anything else I want to share? Oh, yeah. The first weekend in August, I was invited to speak in Venice, Florida. They're using Adventures in Resilience there. So I'm going to be in Venice speaking, but you're going to get the treat of Reverend Jimmy Scott. You know Jimmy, don't you, Jean? Yeah. Jimmy was a minister before me, which makes it, he's almost 40 years a minister. And he was chaplain for the ministerial class some years ago at Unity Village. He's been the chair of the board of trustees for Unity Worldwide Ministries. He's had, he had a ministry in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm sorry, we lost our lead. Ministry in Nashville, Tennessee, and he has served with Richard Mirage over at Unity of Phoenix. In fact, he's back there because Lori went back to Florida, Richard's chaplain or pastoral care minister. So Jimmy is back at Unity of Phoenix as the pastoral care director. But I'm excited that he's going to be with us the first weekend, first Sunday in August. You'll get a kick out of Jimmy. He's good. He's pretty brilliant. I think that's it. Any questions before we begin? Someone trying to get in? Probably I didn't, right?
Lori, not Lori Fleming.
Lori Fleming, yeah.
She went back to Florida?
Yeah.
Aw.
She did. She and her husband went back, I think because of grandkids. Kids and grandkids. Okay, my glasses. So this last session is, at least in the book, is devoted to expanding the power of prayer. So there's the accessing section, there's the focusing section, and then there's the expanding. And the reason I say expanding is because the kind of prayer dealt with in those chapters expands our consciousness and expands, I guess I would say it opens the portals for divine energy. Probably more than anything else. So here we go. Okay, let's pray. Is it cool enough in here for everyone?
Yeah.
So close your eyes and take a deep breath. Spirit of life and love and all things beautiful and empowering and worthy, we enter this time open and receptive to your spirit, guiding and leading us, inspiring us, so that we hear what is most helpful to hear, say what is helpful to say, so that we are empowered to do what you would have us do for the maximum experience of your blessings in our life. So we give thanks for this time, knowing it is fruitful, and we are grateful. Amen?
Amen.
Thank you. Okay, I have a quote from, stand up to do this. I have a quote from Charles Fillmore. He says, and included in expanding is the idea of knowing what our purpose is for life and living out of it to the best of our ability. Well, this is from that section. Our purpose is to express our divine potential. This purpose gives joy and zest to living. When our eye is on the goal, we are not so easily perturbed. Purpose awakens new trains of thought. Purpose directs these thoughts into new fields of achievement. Really, to be fulfilled, we must have a great purpose for our lives in mind to engage our creativity. After all, we must purpose in our hearts to achieve spiritually. What do you think about that?
It's like setting an intention, isn't it? I mean, so you're not caught up in drama around you or whatever, but your goal or oriented focus, you're setting intentions.
Yes,
Moving forward,
yes,
positivity.
yes. How many of you have been challenged in any way this week?
Oh, come on, you guys. Fess up.
I mean, challenged in your own thoughts
Yeah.
by what's going on out here, or even what's going on in here. And so the point here is that my spiritual purpose is to express my divine potential. Am I right now in what I am saying, expressing my divine potential? Yes or no?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's either yes, either I am or I'm not. There's no in between. Make sense? Yeah. So that is a very rigorous approach to life, and worth every effort. You know why? Because that's where we are happy and contented and at peace. Because I don't know about you, but when I am not expressing my divine potential, I'm not as happy as I could be. I got a text this morning and I wanted to respond out of not my divine potential, you know what I'm saying? I really wanted to, but I didn't. Praise God, I was present before I started typing and hit send to say, no, our humanity wants to jump up and talk to me.
And be right.
Say that again?
And be right.
And be right, or, defend the fortress here. So, okay, let's see. Oh, here's another quote for you. When you begin to see things from a high perspective of the ever-present presence of God's substance, also Fillmore, you will be in the creative flow of abundance, which will bless your life. It will also go forth from you as a prospering influence in the world. When you begin to see things from a high perspective, in other words, from a metaphysical or spiritual perspective, right? We not only help ourselves, but you know that it makes a difference in the world. Okay, what are your thoughts about that one?
I'm thinking that on spiritual potential, probably they should, but do all of our thoughts expand our spiritual potential? Like sometimes we have a goal that doesn't necessarily seem spiritual. However, it's connected to that because in the long run, it's going to affect our spiritual potential, right?
Who's?
Mine. Yeah, we'll be going through this the whole thing again, probably. We will, I'll be going through this.
So do you have an example of a goal?
Just like thinking of, oh, I did 2 minutes ago. Let's say like expanding expanding my, let's just go with a career path. Now, is that spiritual expansion also?
Well, here's the thing that, think about that. So if the goal is to expand your business, right?
It could be,
Or,
yeah.
expand your career.
Yeah, right?
And think about that. What is it going to require of you to do that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Prayer.
Power of willing, your power to be willing to move forward, power, willingness, faith, I think it involves all of our attributes, our 12 powers.
yes,
do
at
that.
one point or another.
And that's
we'll want-
spiritual, for me, that's spiritual.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why having some kind of a goal, whether you guys, I mean, some of you are retired, right? You're not working a 9 to 5 or 8 to whatever. But still, to have some kind of a goal that, juices you in some way, will require spiritual help or a connection to spirit, at least to grow spiritually. And if the goal is too easy, like I'll empty the garbage tonight, that's kind of like a task. So there are intentions, and then there are goals, and then there are tasks. And a life intention could be to fulfill my divine potential. Like I was just listening to a CD by one of my advisor when I was in the seminary, Marvin Anderson. And he was talking about spiritual potential and the fact that the 12 powers get us there. But he also talked about the many challenges of doing it, and the importance still of having some kind of a goal. Even if it's like this, I am going to, and this is on my goal list, I am going to a retreat this year, so I can grow spiritually. Well, it requires certain things of me. So an intention is to, for example, fulfill my divine potential. A goal would be I'm going to study the 12 powers. See, and there's some discipline in that too. It means you gotta set time aside to do it. And then there are the tasks. Well, you gotta have a book. You gotta learn what they are, the tasks, the small things that get you there. Enough about that. So one of the questions I pose in regard to that, well, when you begin to see things from a high perspective of the ever-present substance of God, you will be in a creative flow of abundance. What is your understanding of the substance of God?
There's no end to it.
Say that again. There's no end to it, right, Cindy? Right. Right. Infinite. What else?
Divine spirit.
I'm sorry?
Divine spirit.
Oh, divine spirit. And so the substance of God is spirit.
I think it's love.
Love is substance.
Beauty. It's
Did you-
positivity.
Beauty, yes, for sure.
our birthright
It is.
as an individualization of spirit.
Yes, it is. Well said. Well said. It's our birthright. And so we say, when Unity talks about the nature of God, part of that description, and you realize this, these descriptions of God are our attempt to understand, but our understanding is based on experience. And so we say that part of the nature of God is substance. God is substance. God is the field of creative energy. Does that fit with you or no? If it doesn't,
It underlies everything. It's in everything. It underlies everything. It's the movement. It's the mind idea expression.
and so what does that tell you about our work here?
We have access to that.
Pardon?
We have access to that.
We have access to it, and what else?
I don't know if this is where this was going, but the way this sentence sounded to me is when you raise your awareness, you're going to be working more on that level. And that's where I think that God is love. And so when I look at the homeless, when I look at mentally ill people we have in the family and so forth, I can look at them with love.
Yes, and that is accessing and expressing the substance of God as love.
To be open and receptive.
To be open and receptive, yes. Yes, because the substance is everywhere present. See, the thing is, it's kind of tricky. I remember hearing this years ago, and I found it very provocative, and that is, God's answer is always yes. In that, if we say that God is the infinite field of creative energy, substance, my thought is creative, and my thought goes into or is part of the substance of God. So if I say I don't have enough money, I'm absolutely right. God says yes. Yep, you're right.
Like an affirmation.
If I don't have enough time, if I say I don't have enough time, God says, yep, you're absolutely right. You don't have enough time.
Isn't that like an affirmation?
Pardon?
Isn't that like an affirmation?
Yes, it is really. It is. So our whole deal about monitoring our thoughts is so important because they're creative. Our thoughts create our reality. Yes, Jan.
Reverend Billy calls God her she,
Yes.
and that confused me. I don't know why I couldn't be unisex and God, it had to be a boy or a girl, maybe that I had to think about that for a while. I like that.
Well, Unity teaches that God is the creative principle of masculinity and femininity, which is why we say Mother, Father, God. And Jewish tradition does too. There's Shekinah, which is the feminine aspect of God. Hindus have the same thing. They have the masculine and feminine aspects of God. They call them gods, but it's really an aspect of the one. So there is this, for me, it's totally logical. If we're made in the image and likeness of God, could God be only feminine or could God be only masculine? I don't think so.
At the village in classes, I had one of the instructors whose language was his really big thing. And there was a period of time where I couldn't say God because I went back to my childhood theology of the God out there. So I was using source, universe, different things, exploring different things. I'm now back to the place where I can say God, but I know better what I mean,
Okay.
than than having to try and define it any further than that. But, yeah, that was the word that triggered me for a while, kind of like what Jan mentioned about it being a she or something, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, the word God triggers a lot of people depending on their upbringing and experience, right?
Yes.
And it really doesn't matter as long as you have some concept of a power that's greater, greater than we can even imagine, and is the source. Yeah. I love what Father Thomas King said. I think I told you guys this. When I told him I was giving a talk on New Frontiers of Prayer. Now that was my guidance, and when it came down to it, I thought, so I called Father Keating, and he said, well, isn't prayer a relationship with God? And so there are always new frontiers, aren't there? They're always in our relationship, just like, you folks who are married or in a partnership. Are there new frontiers in your relationship? Huh? I mean.
We gotta find it out. So we get it.
Oh, I love it. But when you think about that, when you think about your most intimate relationships, how did they become intimate? Because you, little by little, shared yourself, found you could trust, and began to share the deepest parts of you, and found you could trust, that you were respected and accepted, honored. So, think about what word would describe a good relationship with the source or substance or God, whatever you call it. Think of a word that would describe for you a really good relationship with that one, with the one. Peace.
Engaged.
Oh, you're back.
Then she disappeared.
Where are you, Eileen? I'm not seeing your picture here.
I don't know. I'm seeing my picture. I see you.
You see me? Oh, good. Okay.
She shows up when she speaks.
Yeah, you should. We can see you when you speak.
Oh,
Okay, so you said a word that describes the relationship is engaged. Is that right? Did I hear it correctly?
yes.
Thank you. Okay, who else? Ben?
It's a sense of one with the one,
A sense of oneness.
oneness, unity,
Yeah.
unification,
And how do you feel when you feel that?
joyful.
Yeah.
And grateful,
Yeah.
all the good things.
Yeah. Florencia?
I feel peaceful.
Peaceful, yeah. So for you, it would be a sense of peace in terms of describing your relationship with God. When the connection is there, or when you're experiencing the connection is peace. Yes?
Yes.
Great. Who else?
Secure.
Secure, safe, yeah. Sure. So, yeah. What else? Anything else? Jean?
Giving attention to, which causes you to feel connected.
Yes, giving attention to it like you would with a friend, right? Or your wife or your husband. Undivided attention. I'm being funny now. Undivided attention.
That's too much work.
It is work. It is work.
Yeah.
It takes great discipline to give someone your undivided attention. And our attention span is not that long, you guys. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
I mean, if someone's going on and on, how long do you last? Right there. Just lost me. So it takes, you know, a real, what's the word I'm looking for? Motivation or great, it's of great importance to give someone your undivided attention. And people can feel it when they have your undivided attention. And there's something so sacred and beautiful about that in that moment, right? When you're being, you know, you've got someone's undivided attention and acceptance. And when you do that for someone else, I mean, it's like a magic moment, I think. I wish I knew that when my kids were growing up. You did what?
Yeah.
Okay, shall we move on? So I have, let's see, ways to, okay, so I'm going to get into you really sharing right now, if that's okay with you, because I have some invitations here related to the idea of expanding the power of prayer, expanding the power of prayer. And so in threes, see, or twos, if you would, and preferably not husband and wife, you know each other way too well. So if, yeah, get in twos or threes, whatever works from where you're sitting, and you can move your chairs around. And the first thing I'd like you to share with one another, and the one with the longest hair goes first. And share 3 things that you're grateful for. And while you're doing that, remember, please give that whoever's speaking your undivided attention, like a spiritual practice. And when you're the speaker, if you would, as you're speaking and when you have finished, just notice your energy. Just notice your energy, okay? So partners or trios, now would be a good time. You 3 right there. One with the longest hair goes first. With that, it looks like you, Linda. 3 things you're grateful for. I'm grateful. Eileen, are you there? Eileen.
Yes, I'm there.
3 things you're grateful for.
I'm very grateful for Judy because she's just so wonderful. I'm grateful for our lovely home. And I'm grateful for the community we live in with nice neighbors. Our community, our community, our community and neighbors.
Thank you. And I'm grateful for being
One of the things I don't want to be very popular.
Did everyone complete? All right.
Yes. Oh, I think we can carry on.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the next one. Next one, same, how was that, by the way, how was it? What did you notice about your energy? Oh, it is energizing, isn't it?
And fun.
Pardon?
Fun. Yeah. Fun.
Fun, fun?
Fun.
Oh, good, fun,
Lighthearted, fun, good energy,
great,
high vibration.
good vibrations. Good, good. Here's the next one, you ready? The next one is, and this is for the person with the shortest hair to start. There you go. The shortest hair. Share, I was gonna say 3 people. Let's do one, each of you take turns, shortest hair first, then the next shortest. One person that has made a huge difference, positive difference in your life, and how? What was it? Okay, go.
Yeah, I'm here.
One person who has had a very positive influence in your life.
That would be you. Because you made me realize that I have so much more potential than I'm currently working on, and I'm a divine energy of God, and I have so much to be grateful for, and just unity, spiritual understanding.
Well, that was about 30 years
You still only see me when I talk? You still only see me when I talk?
Yes, I'm trying to find a
You see me now? You see me now? Yes. 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 Okay.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Linda, would you do me a huge favor and tell Kathy that I would like her in here because I can't get Eileen's picture up on the screen. And so, you know, it's hard for her to feel like she's here with us. Okay. That's Sharon.
Yes.
Oh. So how was that? It's good to think about these things.
Midway through, we couldn't remember what the question was.
Well, I was going to ask you to name 3 people who have made a big difference, positive difference in your life and how. And I'm sure you could. And then I thought, well, no, that'll take us to the hour. So, and I have other things I want to ask you. So here's the next one. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here she is. We can't get Eileen up here for some reason. Couldn't find where. The next one is to share a time when you have, I mean, a significant time when you let go of something, surrendered, and maybe your fingernails all came off. You know, one of those. Like you were hanging on to it with all of the power at your command, wanting to control it. And you finally surrendered. Here, God, here, you take it. I can't do anything about it. I don't know what to do. I've tried everything I know to do and it's not working. And so finally, thy will be done. Remember, Jesus did not want to go to the cross. Remember, he said, my soul is troubled. So maybe a time when your soul was a bit troubled and you finally surrendered. You knew what you had to do. Maybe like this. Maybe you knew what you had to do, but you didn't want to do it. But you finally surrendered to it. You can think of a few things, right? Just think of one. And this time, let's go back to the shortest hair sharing food. Did I say shortest last time?
Yes.
Oh, we got to go back to the longest hair sharing.
The middle one is the middle one.
The middle one, well,
The middle hair.
yes, well, okay, the middle hair, unless there isn't a middle, like in this case,
Oh, I see.
and then we'll go to the
And
longest.
they flip a coin.
No, middle, longest, middle, longest. Okay, now,
Okay.
think of a time. Yeah. And it would probably be useful to think of, there she is, to think of what came of it as a result of your surrendering.
Would you repeat that again?
Pardon?
Would you repeat that again? Would you repeat that again?
You know, with masks on, I can't read lips.
Would you repeat that again?
Yes, I would. I would be happy to repeat it. So think of the time when, let me give you an example. Well, I mean, the first one that came to me is I wanted my daughter to be the way I wanted her to be. Which was, you know, don't break dates and return my phone calls. And what I found finally, what I saw finally is, Sharon, it isn't gonna happen. But I had surrendered at that point. When I finally said, give it up, and accept her just the way she is. She's gonna break dates and she's not gonna return your phone call all the time. And so what are you gonna do about it? And the moment I surrendered it and said, I will be done. Doesn't have to be my way. I don't have to get what I want. She started returning my phone calls. What a surprise. And not breaking dates, what a surprise. So something like that, or let me think. You know, I mean, I think of the times when I wanted something so much, whether it was a job, to be in a certain place. I wanted to live in San Diego for a long time. But it wasn't happening. And so I had to surrender that, and then an opportunity came up. So, so something like that. The whole point is, one of the ways to expand the power of prayer is to surrender our will the way I want it. For nevertheless, Lord, thy will be done. I accept it just the way it is. Okay? Medium hair or longest? There you are. I don't know what Kathy did, but there you are. So did you hear what the discussion question is?
Yes.
I'm all ears. So can you think of a time?
I would say the time I think that I had to surrender the most was when I had to go from being a Mac only person to being Mac and PC at work. I just hated it and I just didn't want to do it. And I wanted to just have things the way they were. And I finally just had to say, you know, this is reality and you just got to be in reality with it. And so I just, you know, started doing everything that I was supposed to do and letting go of trying to control it all. And I didn't like it any better, but I got along with everybody else a lot better.
What happened to wisdom?
I said I didn't like it any better, but I got along with everybody a lot better and realized that this is what my job is now. So I've just got to do it. I have a hard time hearing what you're saying because everybody's noise in the background.
So you surrender fighting what you have to do in that job. And you didn't like it any better. What was it like to
It was an opening for me to meet other people that I hadn't worked with before, and realizing that they needed me as much as the other people did too, and I needed them in my life as well, because I learned a lot from someone that I never had worked with before. So it made me feel a lot better about myself in the long run, because I was a lot more open to more experiences.
Anything else come up?
I'm gonna go back and see how that's how.
Yeah.
One more minute, we still have someone in Sharon.
Someday they'll.
Very prosperous.
So we took care of chicken.
Yeah, right. So I still, I just know.
I'm sorry.
Mine work too. Oh, Sometimes, I know, gotta get the fingers in exact right place. Well, I think it would be a good idea. I'm hot as heck, are you?
Yeah.
I just tried to cool it down, we'll see. But I think it would be good to get up and get something to drink and sugar or salt, or use the restroom, just stand up and move a little bit before we get into the next one. Couple minutes, just a couple minutes.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah.
So many books.
Went there the other day. I had to go there. Yeah. But. From. I find it on every, and I know.
How are you guys? Also, our helicopter. I thought of you this week, we drove from Preston.
Oh, you did that? Yeah. Enjoy the weather.
Where's Judy today?
That's what's nice about up there.
In the kitchen.
She cooking?
She got up really, really early, so she had her breakfast really early, and now she's getting hungry. So she's heating up some of my homemade soup.
Well, we're taking a break. We need to take a break and get some coffee. Hi, Jim.
I hear you in the
Here you go.
For years, my husband and I played this banjo band that played in Madison, Georgia.
Yeah. I kept getting it.
Very
frustrating.
So I thought it would. You did, thank you.
Yeah.
If I can't go in person, I
Yeah.
have to go in person. If I can't get there in person, I might go in spirit. I think that was not.
I probably should. I'm gonna go back to stuff, but I love to.
Sharon, at the end of class, Judy wants to say something to you.
Oh, okay, great. Your nose looks like it's doing well.
I went to the dermatologist yesterday, and these I don't have to cover anymore on my ear and my cheek, and I have to wait another week to get my stitches out here. They said it's looking good.
Fraternity across the street, that's all.
Yeah, right. She was standing by it. She said something. She said, "Turn out my own words."
Sign up for it. Remember how I told you to make
You're always disappointed when we don't answer. Now we're talking. Yeah, it was wonderful. I love
Okay. The pyramid at Giza. Anybody been there? Wasn't thrilling, huh?
Purposes to get there.
One of the
pyramids.
one of the great wonders of the world. Well, I was just going through the chapter on surrender and willingness. Willingness is one of the most powerful states of mind, for me anyhow. I'm willing to be what I don't feel like being. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to be fully present. I'm willing to be prospered. I'm willing to be whatever. Okay, so this is from that chapter. So I say, by surrendering all of our thinking about our difficulties, confusion, chaos, or misfortune into the infinite power of God, we make an opening for God's reality. We are entered by God's reality as a peace that passes all understanding, compassion that is boundless, and clarity of perception that allows right action. Surrender and willingness. Oh. Okay, are you ready for a little more diving? So with your partners or partner, share a proud moment in your life and how in your mind and heart it relates to the idea of abundance. Well, now would be a good time. A proud moment. Oh, I didn't say who's starting, right? The one with the lightest color hair. Keep getting Joe. Begin, and a proud moment, and how you connect that with prosperity. Let's say prosperity or abundance. Abundance, prosperity, same thing. I mean, not exactly the same thing. Our sense of prosperity is our experience of the abundance of God. Okay, so a proud moment. A proud moment, I mean.
Most recently, I would say my proudest moment was speaking at my brother's service.
Oh. Yeah, same.
Because I was able to share things that a lot of people didn't know from when he was a young boy and about our family. And a lot of people said it was really nice to hear things about him because I didn't meet him until later. And so who he was as a young boy and so forth. It was just really rewarding for me to yes, to speak and be able to feel like I fulfilled my purpose in doing that.
I
didn't hear that. What was that? It was a long process because you know, he died in January. All along, I knew that I had to speak, and it was challenging because my brother was 10 years older than me, and I didn't spend a lot of time with him as a young girl. He left and went to college and so forth, and so it was hard for me to come up with a lot of material And so I had to also view my siblings to find out their experiences and share those as well. And that was a good connection with them too, you know, to hear things they remembered.
How much older is he?
What was your favorite thing about him?
My favorite thing was that he was such a loving, giving man. When he traveled the world, he went and visited all the children, different schools, like in India and China and Russia and all of these different places he went and took them school supplies. Really tried to get to know the people and their cultures, you know, and respect that. He worked as a professor at my college. I had theater arts from him. He was over set design for the different events. He worked for Ballet West in Salt Lake and traveled with the ballet wherever they went. He was, you know, a technical person on stage. And then his last job was working for Salt Lake County with all of their different venues at Symphony Hall, Capitol Theater where the ballet performed, and a couple of other theaters that had events. Which service was at the Rose Wagner Theater in Salt Lake. So it was all done, his service by the people who worked there. So it was like a professional event.
Need more time? I'm gonna, hey, Eileen, I'm gonna ask you to share your. Okay. Bueno, clase, estamos listos para seguir. Vamos, vámonos. Vamos a seguir ahorita. ¿Verdad, Florencia?
Sí.
¿Verdad? Vamos a seguir. Sí, vamos a ahorita. Like right now. Okay, you know, Eileen and I have been sharing, as you all have, on those items. And I thought it would be nice to bring her in. So Eileen, would you share your proudest moment or one of your proudest moments, the one you shared with me?
So I told Reverend Sharon that the most recent proud moment of mine was a couple of weeks ago when I spoke at my brother's celebration of life service. And it was so lovely to meet all these people that I didn't know that were his friends and people that he worked with. He worked for the college that I went to, and also for Ballet West and the county, working at the Symphony Hall and the Rose Wagner Center and the Capitol Theater where Ballet West performed. And his job was all of the technical side. He was also a set designer and designed a wonderful set for Man of La Mancha when I was in college, and also directed a play that my little brother was in. But the thing that was most fulfilling for me was also to be able to try to figure out those things that I wanted to communicate to the people who didn't know him when he was young. And so because he was 10 years older than me, I had a hard time coming up with a lot of material because he left home when I was about 8. And so I interviewed all my siblings and other people in my family to share some experiences that they had had with him and so forth. And one of the things I want to share that I didn't share with Reverend Sharon was when I lived in Virginia Beach, Ballet West toured to Washington, DC to the Kennedy Center. So he called me and said, I have 2 tickets for you for the Friday night and Saturday ballet. And so a friend of mine who I was going to ask didn't want to go. And so I took a little lady from work. We drove to DC. We checked into Howard Johnson's across the street from Watergate, walked over to the Kennedy Center and picked up our tickets, walked in, and a little lady came and said, here, let me take you to your seat. So we went up the stairs. We went around to these doors and she opened a door and there was a little coat closet there and another door. She opened that door and to our surprise, we were right in the very middle in box seats where the President of the United States would sit during the Kennedy Center honors.
Wow.
And so that was the most thrilling thing, and to have my brother be a part of that. And I just felt so honored. And the little lady with me, she'd never been to any kind of performance anywhere, this little Black lady that I worked with. And it was just so special to share that moment with her and have my brother be such a well-known person and to be able to share that with me.
Oh, thanks,
Thank
Eileen.
you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was it for all of you to share a proud moment in your life? What did you notice, or what do you notice about what made that moment a proud moment for you?
Jordan.
Pardon, enjoyment? Thank you.
The feeling was relieved and relived.
Release?
The feeling was relived.
We live.
Relive.
Oh, relived. Thank you. Yeah. Was that good?
For me, it was having the guts to do it.
The guts to do it, yes. The courage.
Yes.
The courage to notice that, yes, I can be courageous. I am courageous. Yeah. What else? Jean?
I think, initially I was struck by, oh, there's been a few.
Yeah.
You know, there's more than just one.
And that's a big deal. And when you think, I mean, when I think, so I'll just say that, when I think about a proud moment in my life, brings tears to my eyes, that's what it does. Because they're very, very deep moments. And, you know, I mean, the one that came to my mind in that moment was being there for my son's graduation from college at 33 years old. He was. And he had, you know, he'd overcome a lot, gotten student loans, working full-time, going to school full-time. So, I mean, as his mother, so our proud moments, I mean, my proud moments can be for my kids, that I can see the Christ in them, see, you know, the miracle working power of God in their lives and mine, of course. Anybody else want to share what that was like?
When
Yes,
someone solved their problem, accomplishment,
accomplishment.
be able to help you.
Yeah, it really supports the power in you, doesn't it? To think about, my God, I actually did that. Betty?
This relates to the previous comments we had about letting go and let God.
Yeah,
When I was in the 4th grade, I always wanted to be a nurse, but when I was in high school and ready to go to college, my father died at age 49. My sister was 5 years old. I had to raise her. I never got to go to college then. Got married, had my kids, the whole thing. And finally, after my husband left, when I let go and let God, my husband left, I knew I had to go to school and get a degree to have a career. So I have a Lady Clairol scholarship for women over 40 going back to school. And got my nursing degree. And I think that's one of my proudest moments. That I was a single mom, going to school during the day, working at night as an aide, changing diapers in the nursing home, raising my kids, and got that degree.
Yes, yes. It's
But if
amazing.
if I hadn't let go and said, okay, the marriage is over, and tried to hang on to something that wasn't working, this is the way it was supposed to be now.
Is that reassuring?
Yes.
It is, isn't it? It's very reassuring. Thank you. Well, what is your true purpose?
To empower.
Hmm?
To empower people.
Oh, I like that, Florencia. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Lots of ways to do that too, huh? So we said at the beginning, I use that quote about achieve our divine potential. How will you ever know that you achieved it? I remember Marvin Anderson, I just spoke about him earlier, right? Marvin Anderson would say, I want to get it right this time. I do not want to have to come back and repeat it and learn it all over again. So there's, who knows what our fullest divine potential is? We have this day to live from it. That's all we know for sure.
It seems to me it's a process and it's not necessarily a point that you reach. So if you're on the path and you're in the process, that's all you have to really know. So it makes it much easier because you're not going to reach a point. It says,
And it's
oh,
not about pushing for something. It's about a design for living. A design for living. We have a choice, Live well or don't, take your pick. I have many more sharing things here. Okay, so how about this one? What is something you do or have done that has given great meaning to your life?
Presently,
Anytime,
anytime.
could be now.
Is this a one-on-one thing, or is this gonna be a discussion?
This is for all of us to
All together.
relish.
Oh, good, okay.
Florencia.
For me, I feel listening, learning to listen.
So listening to another person
Yes.
gives
Yes.
meaning to your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting a sense of, what they're going through. It helps me find out what I'm going through.
Excellent, excellent. Were you a nurse or a counselor?
No, somehow I was assigned in this life to take care of other people. I started at 10 years old and took care of my sister, took care of my brother. And it just seems like it always fits and somebody always shows up. The changes show up.
Oh, thank you, thank you. What else? Who else? Who else? What gives meaning to your life? Betty Jo?
Yes, I crochet askers for the veterans, the wounded veterans and the Purple Heart. And we get notes from them appreciating what we've done.
Oh,
And that makes me feel really have purpose and worthwhile.
yes.
And it's a nice satisfaction.
Oh, how beautiful. Did you all hear what Betty Jo said? Oh, fabulous. What a wonderful thing. Who else?
Eileen has her hand up.
Eileen, thank you. Eileen,
I know that this sounds kind of silly, but I get a lot of satisfaction when I give my pens away.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm totally in the moment and I spend a little time with the people, like one day I went up to my clubhouse here where I live and gave pens to everybody that I saw. And one lady said, "Oh, what a nice ministry." And I thought, I guess that kind of is, because once you share that and then they say, "Oh, look at this pen I got today that says love one another and be kind." We did that Sunday when we went to dinner after church, and we were at Cheddar's, and the two gals who waited on us, you'd think you'd given them $1 million, because they just thought those pens were so cool. And it kind of changed the energy in the whole room, because I gave them to some other people too. And so it's a lot of fun to see what happens when you do that.
Great, thank you. Yes, we have a recipient or two in this room with a
Yes.
pen.
Yeah, we have, it's a lot of fun.
And
to
they're
get.
very nice. They're very
Purple
nice.
and red.
Love them.
Yeah, love it.
I love it. Thanks, Eileen.
So there's 4 up in this group.
Say it again.
We have 4 people who have this.
No, there's more than
I
that.
think there are.
I got two.
I've got one.
I have
You
one.
have it?
I have one. Yes, I have them.
Really in the
Okay,
bottom of my day.
more than that.
Where do you get them?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Who was it that said, where do you get them? Just go and see Eileen, and she's here on Sundays. She carries them all the time.
It's true. I love it. Anybody else? What gives meaning?
Being a friend to Cleo.
Being.
Not everybody Cleo, but Donna.
Cleo is very responsive, isn't she? Yes. I think Cleo was a therapy dog. But I don't know if she would claim that. She loves to give kisses.
I tell her on Sunday if she doesn't get enough attention.
She doesn't. She does.
So that's why she is the way she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eats it up.
Yeah, but there is something, about unconditional love that our pets can give us that is very touching. Yeah. She entertains me at home. She hides under the bed. You know how 2-year-olds do?
Oh, yes.
She'll stick her head under the bed and the rest of her is hanging out. Like she's hiding from me, right? Which is what 2-year-olds do. They think, if I can't see you, you can't see me.
That's right.
Eileen, oh, hi, Judy.
Judy wants to share something.
Good.
Reverend Sharon, when Sunday, when I asked you about my friend over in South Carolina, and you said a prayer with me for her, I wanted you to know that the very next morning, she called me. And she went on and on about how much better she was, how the doctors had tended to her. And I just wanted to let you know that I have sent her your Adventures in Prayer book as well. And she and her daughter are picking it up and putting it down, picking it up and putting it down. So anyway, I just wanted you to know what a great difference that made, those few moments there.
Thank you. Thank you is meaning to my life. That's great. Thanks, Judy.
Mhm.
Well, I think we'll kind of begin to close it down now. And let's take a little quiet time, a little meditation. And think about the time that you've invested here. So, and I thank you so much for being here. Gives meaning to my life. Think about the time you've spent here exploring these ideas and sharing with one another. And what would be your takeaway? What is it that stays with you as something that helps you going forward, or supports you, or empowers you in some way going forward? Okay, so let's close our eyes. I'm gonna turn the lights out for a minute, so not to worry, just know I'm gonna turn them out. But just begin to put your attention on your breathing. So just as you inhale, watch your breath. And watch your breath as you breathe it all through your body. So you inhale through your nose and breathe deeply enough to follow that breath throughout your body. And as you exhale, exhale from your whole body as well, out your mouth. So exhale fully. Inhale deeply. Focus on your breath for now. And as you reflect for a minute or two here on this time, please. We've talked about the power of prayer. You shared so generously your experience, strength, and hope about it. So reflecting on perhaps what you've read or what you've heard here, what might be a takeaway is really important and useful. Anchor whatever has come to you. Take a couple more deep body-filling breaths. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Anybody willing to share? Takeaway, helpful. Any new ideas about prayer even?
I have a family,
Say that again.
I have a family now.
Oh, oh, I love that thought. This, right? Fabulous. Fabulous. That's the best. Thank you, Sandy.
Similar to what Cindy's saying, the collective consciousness that's come together, the energy, the love, it's powerful, and I think we carry it forward in this ministry to do greater good.
Thank you. I love that thought. Love that thought. Florencia?
The connection just feels like, when I look at everybody, it feels like a necklace. And each one is a pearl.
Oh,
Just my
oh,
friends.
thank
It's
you.
a connection.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Betty
the
Jo?
connection with all of us and where we see ourselves and others.
Yes.
Yeah. We're not alone.
No.
Jeannie?
Inspiration is what causes me to grow.
Great, great. Was she awesome Sunday?
Yeah.
Yes.
That would have been a proud moment.
Mhm.
Don't you think?
I think I did lose that.
Did you? Yeah.
Because she wasn't, Brian wasn't here.
Oh.
She didn't know what was going on, but yeah,
Was it? You are the inspiration.
Thank you for that
She
kind
wasn't
word.
proud of- I'm sure proud of her as one of my teammates in our chaplain program.
Yes.
She has something, I've known Jeannie for a long time, and it just amazes me how we all seem to come back to meeting each other. She moved away and she lived in Phoenix. I had gone to California, another friend of ours, had been moving someplace else. Somehow, I've known her for years,
Wow.
and now we're within 3 miles again.
Wow.
We just seem to come
How
back.
wonderful.
Yes, it
How
is.
wonderful.
It is.
Now, that Sunday service was such a blessing. It was so inspiring.
Mm,
I cried through the whole thing.
you did.
It was tears.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll pray out then. Most awesome God, magnificence itself, abiding in each and every person here and everywhere. We give thanks that your light has been kindled to expand in each heart, each mind, each body, that the energy of your presence has been expanded now and will never contract. We give thanks that you guide us and lead us throughout this day and the rest of the week and each day. We give thanks for the power of our connection with you, resilient, rewarding, rejuvenating. We give thanks for all of the blessings of this time that we are aware of and that continue to work in our heart and soul going forward. And so we leave with a sense of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. And we say, thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all.
Yes. thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
Eileen.
everybody. Love you.
Love you.
These make those bookmarkers too.
Hey, Chris. How am I doing with this? You're doing. Should I be doing something that I'm not doing? I can't. I know, but you did on Sunday. I haven't tried to yet.
That's
You'll
okay.
have to give me a lesson.
You'll have a.
I tried it once.
But no, you do wonderful. You do good. So she's right there. February, we're letting next month. We don't have a tutorial, she gave you, moving right along. Yes. But I'm taking this over there. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. We need that. So where are we going? Hello, love. Oh, shoot. Where do you want to go? And give me a place.
Oh, my, thank you. I did sign that for you. I did not? Oh, my gosh, let me. Yes, absolutely. Let me get a pen.
Yes. Sunday. It's mine, oh, my. Oh, really? Still time? Get in there. Oh, it is. Say.
She said she wanted to.
Yeah.
So I don't think that freeze to death in a chicken place, so. We can get chicken anywhere. Do you wanna go somewhere else for chicken?
Oh, my fries.
No.
But it's cold, it's really cold out there.
It is. And
That
I'm
was-
sitting here hoping, thinking that this is the
Yeah.
right one.
Yeah. It's funny.
Nowadays, that's a big deal.
Thank you. Thank you, Lovey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a good course, right? Interesting. I'm sure you, different things that people found that to be, they're proud of it. But several of them fit in with what I had. It was neat, and you mentioned it, the accomplishment of your son.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with us. It's the accomplishment of our son and our daughter-in-law won an international competition, and it is, we had a chance to be there for it.
Oh, it just,
It was in Lisbon, which was really neat.
it doesn't get any better. I'm getting shocked. It just doesn't get any better.
But you know, the idea of, I can find much more reason to be proud of something that our kids do, that other people do, than what I do. I don't know why it is.
Think of, isn't that, what do you think it is?
I don't know. I just, I suppose that the accomplishments that other people, I'm just more excited about.
Well, I think that's true because we can be in the experience, whereas I think sometimes, I don't know about you, but I know you got into Berkeley, which is no way is an accomplishment. to
Well,
begin
yeah,
with.
in the out as well.
And I'm in and out, yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, you had a remarkable career.
Well, I suppose so. There are a lot of things that I can discount that whole realm, but nevertheless, it was, you know, our daughter, for example, getting a master's degree, which was something that was sort of unheard of for her field. She's a dental hygienist. How many hygienists have those kind of degrees? Most of them have a basic degree, a bachelor's. And so there's things like that. It's easy to be much more excited about other people's accomplishments. I used to coach, and whenever I was on a crew, or when I was competing at Cal,
And there's another accomplishment.
well, we weren't that good at that particular time. But as time has gone on, I was coaching there, and some of the people that I coached ended up being on national teams and won national competitions, which was neat to know about that. And even today, for example, this year, I have nothing to do with it, except maybe send them some money occasionally at this point in time. But the varsity crew from Cal became the national champions this year. And yeah, it is. It's that kind of thing. And it's just thrilling to see that happen. I had nothing to do whatsoever, except for the fact that it's my school.
Yeah,
No, that's
yeah,
it.
no, I totally get it. Totally. Maybe it's about, I mean, I'm getting there with you. I'm thinking maybe it's about just, it acknowledges a very deep connection.
I guess so. I think that must be it. So.
Yeah.
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 And you know, there's a lot of little things like that. For example, another one, when I was in the Navy, I was on an old World War II ship, but we were able to do the things even those modern ships couldn't do. And we were number one of it in the fleet, which was a fun thing to have happen.
I
It's no
know.
big deal, but it's just, it's a
It's
pleasure.
gigantic because it's a team effort. We're just talking about what creates proud moments, right?
He shares his stories at the end. After everybody's
No,
gone.
it's all right. Nobody wants to hear us.
No, what we're just talking about is sharing that sometimes it's easier to feel the thrill for others.
Oh,
you know,
yes,
like our kids
absolutely.
than
No question
ourselves
about that.
and what we've accomplished.
Yes.
And I agree. I mean, the thrill of seeing my son walk across, it brings tears to my eyes still.
Right. Well, we had that experience and